Hello and welcome to my AFL Season Predictions for 2023. In this video, we will be going over my full ladder predictions, 18 down to 1. I'll tell you who I think is going to play in the grand final, who's even going to win the grand final. Remember, it's purely a guess. No one knows until the season happens. It's just my opinion on how I think the teams are going to go this year, but I could be completely wrong. Who knows? I'll go over who I think is going to win the Brownlow, the Coleman. So that's going to be exciting. But first, who's going to finish in 18th spot? The Wooden Spoon. I have the GWS Giants. Now, first year coach, Adam Kingsley. I think 21. Did they make the finals in 21? If they can get back to that form, they'll go right. But last year it sort of fell apart for the Giants. They finish, down the ladder. Obviously, they sacked their coach, Leon Cameron. And really, the Giants, I think they're not going to have a great year this year. They've taken a bit of a hit. Their squad has taken a little bit of a hit over the trade period. They lost Bobby Hill, I think, to Collingwood and a couple of other midfielders to Richmond. I don't see them doing too much in 2023, but I could be wrong. So that's my Wooden Spoon position. I've got the Giants. 17th, I've got North Melbourne. Now, they finished last year and the year before. So 2 years in a row, Wooden Spoon. They could do it a third, but they've gone one better. They've gone to 17th now. Clarko. I know Clarko, and maybe that'll still be disappointing for North, finishing 17th. Probably will. Clarko's not going to come in and win a premiership in the first year. Or is he? Probably not. No. He might though. But that'd be extremely unlikely. I think it'll take a couple of years with Clarko. Yeah, he's a great coach. I understand, the three-peat with the Hawks and all that. But give it a couple of years, stick with him, and North could start climbing up the ladder. But yeah, I don't see him doing too much. In terms of improvement, they've gone one better. They've gone up to 17th, so that is a small improvement, but you got to celebrate them. Anyway, 16th, I have the Hawks. I didn't know quite where to put the Hawks. It was either going to be, a little bit higher or a little bit lower. I wasn't really sure how the Hawks are going to go this year. Second year for Sam Mitchell as coach. It still feels weird. Like, wasn't he playing a couple of years ago? No. Well, he was, but more than a couple. But I don't know. See how he goes. Second year, Sam Mitchell. I think he could be a good coach. He was the assistant before that, but he still feels fresh out of the game and needs that couple more years. But they've gone early with him. They've got him in. What did he do last year? Not really too much. They've lost a couple of players. Tom Mitchell, the biggest one, I would say. Jack Gunston as well. He's pretty big for the Lions. So their squad's taken a bit of a hit, as well as the Giants. Second year coach Sam Mitchell. Look, it'll be interesting with the Hawks. The only reason I had them a little bit higher is with the Hawks. I know every team has an upset. Like, they win when they're not supposed to sometimes. Eventually, every team can do that, cause an upset. But with the Hawks, it might not be right, but for me, Hawks win the most upsets. Especially last year. They just had some upsets that, you didn't think they were going to win, and there you go, they do. So they just have that habit of doing that, so I thought they'd pick up a couple of points there. At home at the MCG, they might go alright as well. So 16th, didn't know quite where to put them, so I sort of put them in the middle. Still bottom 4, I don't think they're going to have a great year, the Hawks. 15th, West Coast. Look, I think it'll be better than last year, and they could even, scrape out of that bottom 4. Obviously last year they were hit with COVID, but yeah, I reckon this year they could turn it around, but still bottom 4 for West Coast. But yeah, they're stuck with Adam Simpson, and it's a work in progress for the Eels. 14th, Essendon. Interesting with Essendon. Obviously, Brad Scott at the helm. I think he'll go okay. He's a pretty good coach. At North was his last team that he coached. But I reckon he'll go alright at Essendon. but yeah, I'm not really too sure how the Bombers are going to go this year. 14th, I mean, it's not great. I think they'd be hoping for better, but it could go worse for the Bombers. So, look, just have to wait and see. 13th, St Kilda. Where did they finish last year? Can't quite remember, but outside the 8, and I reckon they'll get outside the 8 again, maybe a couple of spots lower than maybe some people are saying. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm not sure how the Saints are going to go this year. We'll have to wait and see, but I have them in 13th. 12th, I got the Crows. Interesting, the Crows. I reckon they could be like, every year like a team just sneaks into the 8. The Crows. I haven't put them in the 8, but I'm just saying, hey, they could, I could be wrong, but I have them up at 12, maybe some people have them a little bit lower, but I reckon they could be near the 8 this year, I don't know, I have a hunch on the Crows, not sure though, yeah, I reckon they'll go alright though, the Crows, we'll have to wait and see. 11th, the Western Bulldogs, obviously lost grand final in 21, they came back in 22, and they did make the 8 in the end. Fortunately, they did. I mean, they weren't in the 8 for very much of the season. Didn't really look like getting in, or sort of. And then obviously Carlton lost, I think, their last 3 or 4 games of the season, and the Bulldogs snuck in, but they got knocked out first round of finals. So, look, I don't reckon the Dogs will make the 8. They could. They're probably that team that's probably ranging from 7 to 12. We'll see how they go, the Dogs. 10th, I've Gold Coast. It's about time for them to make the finals, and I reckon this year could be the year, but I haven't said it's going to be the year because there's too many teams and I can't fit every team in the 8. I want to. My next team that I got in 9th should be making the 8. This team, the Gold Coast Suns, probably should be making the 8, or that'd be their aim. I mean, that's every team's aim. You want to make the 8, but they'd be, I think, disappointed if they don't. Yeah, Suns, obviously they've lost Rankin, pretty big loss, but I reckon they'll still go alright in 9th place. So here we go, this is a little bit controversial, obviously making the finals last year, we got the Freo Dockers, I reckon they'll make the 8, but I haven't put them in the 8, sounds a bit weird, there's too many teams to put in all the spots. So no, I don't reckon they'll make the 8, I reckon they'll finish 9th, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if they do make the 8, and they probably will, but I don't know with the Dockers, I mean, who did they lose? Lob? They lost Lob to the Bulldogs, yeah, so that might affect them in the forward line, I don't know. Yeah, I reckon the Dockers probably 6 to 10 range. Anyway, top 8, here we go, in 8th spot, Port Adelaide. I reckon we can finish in the finals. I think our range is probably 7 to 11. If we don't make finals, does Ken Hinkley get sacked? That is a huge question. And we'll have to wait and see. I'm not too sure. If we make the finals, Ken's probably not getting sacked. At the moment, it's probably make finals, Ken's staying. If not, Ken's going. We're not sure. Let's just see how the season goes. We can only hope, right? Obviously, disappointing year last year. I think we just forget that one. We move on to this year, and we come in with a good attitude and try to bank the wins at the Adelaide Oval. Make that our fortress. We have made that our fortress, and hopefully we can just bank them along the way and get in 8th spot. It's going to be tough, I can tell you that, but I reckon the boys can do it. So, in 7th, got the Pies. They finished top 4 last year, and, well, 5, 6 and 7, I had a tough time deciding on where they should go, and I was contemplating all of those teams definitely could make the top 4, just didn't have the room for them, like Freo not making the 8, even the Suns, I don't know. Who am I talking about? Collingwood. Look, Tom Mitchell, he'll improve their midfield, their clearance game. He'll be key. I reckon he is like the best pickup for the Pies. He's going to be huge. They lost Grundy, but he didn't play a lot last year anyway. So he's gone to the D's, and you got Grundy and Gawn at the D's. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, the Pies, I don't know why they're slipping, but they are apparently. they're going in 7th. I still feel finals that they should be making. 6th, I've got the Swans. It might be a little bit disappointing there for the Swans. Obviously, they played in the grand final last year, so to fall out the top 4 would just be a little bit disappointing. But history is sort of showing that if you get sort of smashed in a final or even lose a final, it's tough to bounce back the next year and make the top 4. I still feel they make the finals. You'd be silly if they didn't predict that, but who knows? You could be right. But yeah, 6th, good spot for the Swans. 5th, Richmond. Yeah, they'll make a push for the top 4. Obviously, they made the finals last year. Lost that game at the Gabba to Brisbane in the finals. I reckon they'll finish a few spots higher than last year. They'll get in to 5th, pushing for the top 4. So here we go, the big top 4. 4th, I've got the Blues. Didn't make the 8. Well, they were in the 8 for the entire year besides the last round of football, which is quite crazy. I still don't know why they didn't make finals, but here we are. I reckon this year they'll bounce back, make the top 4. Maybe it's a little bit of wishful thinking. Maybe it's a little bit biased, but I reckon the Blues will do it. Top 4. They've got the list. They've got the squad. Cripps, the Brownlow medalist, he could go back to back. I'll get to my Brownlow prediction, but he could. Sam Walsh in the midfield. He's going to be key. Mackay and Curnow, the best forwards in the comp, along with Cameron Hawkins and the others. But it's a good duo. And, you know, Geelong had that duo with Cameron and Hawkins, and they won the grand final. So, yeah, Blues hoping they make the top 4. Maybe it's some wishful thinking as they are my second team, if you don't know. All right, 3rd, Melbourne. Yeah, I think they should make the top 4. Obviously, 2021, I think they finished 1st. Definitely in the top 4. Yeah, they did finish 1st. They won the grand final last year, made top 4 again, got out in straight sets, so they'll bounce back. They'll make the 4 and push for prelims and the grand final. Here we go, the top 2. We got Geelong in at 2nd. I think they'll have another dominant year. Selwood, obviously, he retired, so that might hurt him a little bit, but not too much. Dangerfield's captain now, so that'll be interesting. Hawkins and Cameron in the forward line. Stangl roaming around as a small forward. It's going to be another exciting year for the Cats, and they will be dominant, especially at their home ground, Cardinia Park. First place, the team that finishes first, for me, it's the only team left. It's the Brisbane Lions. I reckon the Lions are going to go bunter this year. They're going to finish first. They're going to bank the wins down at the Gabba, and they're going to have a great year. Will Ashcroft, he was either number 1 pick, I think he was. Father, son, so he got into the Lions. So he's going to be exciting for the Lions, and they've got a couple of other players. Obviously, the big one, Jack Gunston. Gee, I reckon he'll be good at the Lions, let me tell you that. So yeah, Lions dominant year. They'll finish first, and yeah, they'll make the grand final, people. There we go. Here's my grand final tip. It'll be Brisbane taking on Melbourne. So it'll be 1st v 3rd. Who's going to win it? The all-important tip of who's going to win the grand final. Lions will score 89. Melbourne will score 76, and the Lions are premiers for 2023. Well, yeah, my prediction is that they'll be premiers for 2023. There we go. It's about time for them to make a grand final, and I reckon if they do that, they'll win it. So, way to go. The Brisbane Lions. I'm bullish on them this year. A lot of people are. I reckon they'll make top 4. I reckon they'll be the minor premiers, and I reckon they'll win the whole thing. It'll be good for Melbourne to make another grand final, obviously, with the disappointment of last year getting out in straight sets. So they'll be back, but I reckon the Lions will be too strong, even at the MCG. That'll be a tough task, but hey, I reckon they'll do it. Alright, McColeman. Jeremy Cameron from the Cats. I reckon he'll have a dominant year with Tommy Hawkins. Those two will go crazy. Mackay and Curnow will be up there. Mackay won it in 21, and then Curnow won it in 22. So 23, it could be Mackay or Curnow or Hawkins, but I'm just ahead of all those blokes. I'm going Jeremy Cameron. And my final prediction for this video is the Brownlow medal, and I was tempted to go Paddy Cripps back to back. Obviously they're making the top 4, so that seemed likely, but I've gone for the team that finished first, a player from that team. If they're going to finish first, they're going to have a dominant year, they're going to have a dominant man in Lachie Neale. Lachie Neale is going to win the Brownlow in 2023. What year did he win it in? 21, 20? He's going to do it again. I think it's 20. He's going to do it again. He's going to come back. He's going to win the 2023 Brownlow. That is it for my full predictions. There you go. Brisbane are my premiers. Lachie Neale, my Brownlow. Coleman, Cameron. And yeah, my full ladder predictions. There it was.